It's alive! It's alive!
Hey guys, Asher Rage Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. Send us some love, some positive vibes your way, especially if you need them out there today. Hey, it's free legendary day. You can never complain about a free legendary in Rage Shadow Legends, can you? We have Loki the Deceiver. Today's going to be kind of my first impressions. He's only been available on the test server for about a week, and this is day one of me actually having him on my account, or day two. So rest assured, this is not a complete, robust guide. These are my first impressions and my overall assessment in terms of how powerful is this champion, how many players can he help out, what type of accounts can he help out, along with my top 3 builds, depending on where you want to utilize this champion inside the game. Before we get to any of that, guys, the thought has occurred to me here that with my download link for new accounts, if you want to start a second account, a third account, or refer a friend or family member, you can get your hands with my code on Tagore and Retrodraft. Retrodraft actually pairs really well with Loki with the perfect veil, right? 2 of the better epic revivers with my download link. And then in addition to that, you can use Monkey King. They prolonged it another month. So you can get a free Sun Wukong and then get Loki on a new account. That's a pretty dang good start in Raid, so just a shout out to that. All right, on to Loki. What do you guys think of this guy so far? First of all, aesthetically, he looks all right. He's not my favorite of the 4. I'll be real with you guys, but he's fine. You know, he's fine. He's Spirit Affinity. He's got the nice barbarian, you know, Yakarl, Asgard motif in the background there. His reviews so far are about, I don't know, can you really trust the reviews, especially on the freebies? No, because Alexander the Sharpshooter is like a 4.8 out of 5, but about a 90, about an A- so far from the community early on here. It's nice to just look and see what the first impressions are on this champion. So what does he do? Odds are you're probably familiar with the kit already, so we'll go through it pretty quickly here. He has an accuracy in all battles by 60. That aura out the gate is really valuable, especially in kind of newer players. He can be your aura lead everywhere. That accuracy is really, really strong, especially before you're able to fully ascend all your champions and get those banners on them, right? So really nice aura out the gate. I love that. On the base stats, pretty good, pretty tanky, pretty fast, 105. You know, his HP is okay. You know, overall, I would say average or slightly above average in his base stats. His Flames of Mischief AoE on the A1 ability is an AoE that increases the duration of all enemy debuffs by 1 turn. If he's under a Veil or Perfect Veil, the chance increases to 70% when booked. Now, this is probably the most overlooked part of his kit so far. Sure, you can put him in a stun set, and that's going to be one of the builds because he has an AoE on his A1. You guys know the drill. But the 50% or 70% chance to increase the duration of all enemy debuffs on an AoE is super strong on the A1. I love that. Areas like Hydra, for example, right? It's going to extend everything on everybody on his A1 ability at a pretty high clip. Really solid. On his A2, Deceiver's Gambit, you're selecting a target. If the target's an enemy, block active skills and a block buffs. If he's under the Veil or Perfect Veil, it's going to take 2 random debuffs, excuse me, and spread that to all enemies. Kind of like Tuanarok's A2, it's hard to predict. It doesn't mean you're going to spread the block buffs on Hydra necessarily if they're under a few other debuffs, which likely they are. So it's not a very dependable AoE block buffs ability, but it has that potential. It's not useless, but don't be deceived by the usefulness, I want to say, right? On the other side, he can heal somebody, a big heal based on his HP, a perfect veil on them for 2 turns. He can even target himself there. If this champion's under a veil or perfect veil, it has a buff spread, applying 1 random buff, not 2, 1 random buff to all allies. Again, the dependability there is just hard to depend on it, right? It's hard to depend on it being what you want it to be. But nonetheless, it's a pretty good ability. The best utility that I've been able to find from the Deceiver's Gambit is honestly in the arena or in wave content, especially as new content is added to the game where we have to contend with more mythicals. But locking out mythicals, very good in that regard. In the arena, targeting someone, block active skills, and then spreading that because he starts every turn anyway under a perfect veil, that's a very powerful opening move against mythical teams, okay? So that's my favorite utility on the A2 personally, but can be a good lockout mechanism for any wave content. Think about it, with a stun set, you've got a lot of control on the A1, and then a heck of a lot of control with the block active skills with a debuff spread on that A2. On the A3, Bandit Flash. Did I say there's going to be a fast review of the kit? Oh, Ash. Oh, Ash. 4-turn cooldown. Little bit of a bummer. There's a 4-turn cooldown. That's the bad news. The good news is we're stealing their turn meter. So, you know, if all things go well, we get an extra turn or a next turn pretty soon, right? Steals all buffs from the target, and 100% of their turn meter, cannot be resisted if he's under a veil or perfect veil. It can also steal stone skin, so you can open up in the arena with this move. If a target turn meter was not stolen, fills a turn meter of all allies by 15% instead, useful against Hydra, and sets your team up with an increased attack on all allies for 2 turns, again on a 4-turn cooldown. Misstep. Places a perfect veil on this champion at the start of each round, okay, 2 turns. Also places a perfect veil on this champion for 1 turn whenever his HP drops below 50%. Really nice. 15% chance to evade an enemy skill in all of its effects. If this champion is under a veil or perfect veil, that's a 30% chance you can basically dodge in Armons, including the effects, the sheep, the stun, etc. If this champion's HP is below 50%, when targeted by an enemy skill, so he has to be targeted, has a 100% chance to evade that skill in all of its effects. It's a guaranteed, and it goes on cooldown on 4 turns. So some nice survivability on top of the veil built into this champion's kit. Overall, the kit is, again, a lot of bit unique, right? It all synergizes under those veils or perfect veil. It does fit the Deceiver motif. I want to get quickly into the builds for you guys, and I want to share you my 3 favorites. And I also want to give you some options, right? So number 1 is an arena build, right? Obviously, we want some speed. We want some accuracy. It's going to be really important, especially to lock out those mythicals. You know, like right here, it's going to be difficult to luck out a Galathyr with 560 accuracy. I'm going to need a little bit more. But as you scale, you guys know how accuracy works, especially in the arena. No much is too much, right? Either way, I digress. We have him in 2 perception and a righteous to get that resistance up a little bit. I don't have resistance on the banner. I do have accuracy, obviously, on the banner here. I take that back. I want accuracy on the banner. Let's go ahead and make that switch. I have attack on the banner because every time I make a video like this, I get some of you guys in the comments saying, Ash, I want to see how much damage they can do if they have an AoE on the A1. I don't care if they're not a typical damage dealer. So that's exactly what we're going to do in today's video. I'm going to run them in a curse set, which is the next build. But either way, now we're talking. So 685, that's a lot more like it, plus masteries for the arena. So this is an arena build. The one caveat here, guys, as I show you the gear in the background, we probably switch this out for defense as well, or HP. Same thing on the ring, but we do want to get some damage out of him. Speed on the boots, accuracy on the chest, defense percentage or HP percentage on the gauntlets, right? We don't care about damage here inside the arena, obviously, from this champion specifically. We care about survivability, resisting, protecting himself. He does a pretty good job with the veils at the start of the turn anyway. Masteries, we're just going to keep them the same right now for PvE, because we're going to show you some PvE on Hydra, obviously, in just a moment. But most importantly, lasting gifts to extend the duration of his veil and perfect veils, right? Going to be really, really good. Master Hexer to extend the duration of his block buffs is going to be exceptional as well. We came down the left-hand side. We went War Master. This is PvE. For PvP on masteries, let's go ahead and see what hellhades.com recommends here. Hellhades.com, by the way, gives him a 4 overall grading. I'll give you my grade at the end of the video. So they recommend for, do they have an arena build here on masteries? Nope. Yeah, I guess late game bosses is going to be the arena, is what I would recommend maybe for the arena, right? So support tree, I would either end off with Eagle Eye for the accuracy or with Unshakable for the resist, but this is kind of what I would go with for the arena. And obviously on a stun set, we're going to pick up Fearsome Presence and we're going to pick up Harvest of Spare. So he can bring the leech on the A1 and he can bring that extra 5% chance for a stun off of that A1 ability as well. So that would be the stun set masteries there. I'll link this page on hellhades.com for you guys if you want to go ahead ahead and check it out and see what other recommendations they make. Suffice it to say, this would be the Hydra and PvE build that we're seeing right now in terms of masteries. I already showed you the gear. Let me go ahead and show you all the builds right now so we don't have to keep going to the screen again and again. So on the preset manager, Loki Cursed Damage. You can see his stats here. Basically, we're building him for damage, trying to get that attack as high as we can with that ring and the attack percentage on the chest. And we're trying to get him as fast as we can too. We want everything: accuracy, speed, crit rate, crit damage. But now with that AoE on the A1, he can be applying the Hex and some block buffs, as well as, well, we already reviewed the kit, increase attack and whatnot, and the buff spread and the debuff spread. So I like him in a curse set, okay? The other one is going to be obviously a stun set, right? So I don't need to tell you guys how a stun set works, but here it is. A stun set, we're going to steal it from Nekmothar. I still want that accuracy on this champion, so I'm still going to go with perception with this stun set there. And then last but not least, on the champion presets, if we just stay the way that we are right now, I would also recommend, even though he has that perfect veil, it's not going to protect him from everything. So I would recommend Stone Skin as well if you have the accessories. So in other words, I would take the 2 Righteous off, I'd put 2 Stone Skin there, and I'd take 2 Stone Skin accessories and make it a 1-turn Stone Skin with some perception gear as well. All right, guys, so going into the arena, I just want to say out the gate, the arena is my favorite spot for Loki in the game. I love him as a PvP champion. I think he'll help millions of players literally in PvE as well, but especially progression. I see him maybe tailing off a little bit towards the end game in PvE, but in the end game, I actually think that he has some real potential inside the arena. He is a disruptor. He's a deceiver. Again, forgive the awful puns, but it's true. He's annoying to deal with, opening up with the A3 and then going into the A2. He can also set up your nuker with that increased attack on that same move on the A3 ability. It's really nice, and he's tough to get rid of with the passives, evading attacks, and of course the perfect veil. So we already have him no stone skin right now, although we could. And one artifact set I meant to mention is Feral. It could be a good anti-Armand's option once you start getting some Feral gear. I can't even put him in a 6-piece right now, but a 6-piece Feral set will give you a lot of speed and accuracy, which we want on this champion. And then at six pieces, 50% chance to prevent the placement of a sheep debuff. And then at 4-piece, place a block debuff on the wearer at the start of each round for 2 turns. So that could be a viable option as well in the future. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in and see how he works here. So we're going to go ahead and lead things. This is an all-free team here. Sun Wukong, UDK, Rhonda, and Loki. Let's go in here and try to steal or remove, excuse me, some of these stone skins. So we have a shot at removing it from Duchess. We do, so we can steal stone skin there, right? And look at, we stole her turn meter as well. I mean, what a start. And we set up our nuker with an increased attack. I mean, that's a beautiful start to a match right there, right? It's like, and you can see it right there already, what sort of utility and viability he can bring and how much of a nuisance he can be inside the arena. So we're already back to another turn. And now what can we do? Well, let's go ahead and place a block active skills on the mythical champion. Other than Marius, he's going to be one of your absolute best options to deal with mythical champions to counter the power creep that is mythicals in the game. Now, that can also apply to wave content. He can lock out everybody, mythical or legendary, especially when new content gets added to the game and we have to deal with, you know, these shape-shifting metamorphs of mythicals more often in the future, excuse me. Every 2x primal shard opening that happens out there, guys, we're going to deal with more mythicals in the arena. Again, Loki, and Marius are going to be great options. You saw right there how powerful it can be starting out. Let's another mythical team right here, right? How powerful it can be starting out with the A3 going into the A2. It's a really, really nasty combo. I'm actually super... He exceeded my expectations, excuse me, when it comes to the arena. So let's go in here. And again, we're going to start with the A3. So who do you want to steal all buffs from? Well, I want to go in. I just want to make sure that Crixia doesn't get a turn, but look at Mikage. We have the positive affinity matchup, and we want to make sure we steal all that turn meter. Now look at our turn meter. We're already cooking and ready to go. We want to get back to that A2 before the mythicals can change forms, and it works yet again. So now we're going to go ahead and place the block active skills. It's going to spread on anybody, and man, that happens before, you know, some of the opponents could even take their first turn. So you're seeing the potential that Loki has in the arena, to me, this is a really exciting kit that can help out a lot of players, especially in addition to Marius, before you get Marius or even alongside him with dealing with mythicals or just locking out your opponents. It works great with mythicals because they can't change forms, but it works with anybody for that matter. All right, guys, so we're going to come into our preset manager and we're going to switch over to the cursed damage set. So listen, the multipliers on Loki are not good, right? You're not going to be expecting much damage at all. But what happens if you do ramp up that attack significantly? You know, what can we expect with 3,200 attack on this champion, provided that, you know, he's surviving anyway, right? So we did build him with some crit rate, crit damage, enough accuracy, certainly. We have him in a curse set for that extra hex application, and we have him here with Tatura Reinhide. Tatura Reinhide is one of the best champions, Rector Draft Tatura, to pair with a Loki, because we have the perfect Veil on a 4-turn cooldown. We also have the shield, some survivability, increased defense, and block debuffs. I think Tatura is one of the best if you still have Tatura. If you have Tatura, you were playing back when he was a fusion a while ago. I just wanted to show you Freya Fate Weaver. We had a guide on her yesterday. She's going to be the guaranteed Deck of Fate legendary champion. She's very, very good. She brings a cleanse, block debuffs. She also brings increased defense and a really, really nice shield, as well as a provoke on the A1 ability on an AoE. We have Estrid as a debuffer. We have Skoramis. Skoramis is probably one of the most underrated Hydra clan boss epics in the entire game. He has a provoke on a 3-turn cooldown, but then he has an ability where he gets his turn meter back on the A2. So we can get back to that provoke very, very quickly and keep that Head of Decay permanently provoked with him on the team, and he deals nice damage. We have an Ugo here as well. So when you look at this team, you might think, where's the nuke? Where's the damage? Well, the good news is it's not going to be any world record-setting team at all, but it still gets the job done. There's plenty of survivability, and it really checks off all the boxes with pretty accessible champions. I do like Tatura on the same team, although keep in mind, you can use this A2 ability on Loki himself. All right, so let's go in here and basically make sure that we're just targeting a force affinity, anything but magic affinity to get the block debuffs and then to spread it on all the enemies there, right? We're going to come in with the... yeah, let's go ahead and cleanse here with the A3. Put the block debuffs. Let's go in with Ugo, place a block. So Ugo's bringing block buffs too. I totally recognize that, but it's not bad to have 2 on the team. But if you had another debuffer here, you might need that block buff from somebody, and Loki's got you covered. All right, we're going to go in with the... let's go with the A3 here. Get the perfect veil on everybody and some damage out there from Tatura. And then we're going to go in with this beautiful A3 of Skoramis, provoke, Head of Decay, and again, that's Spirit Affinity, so that's nothing to worry about there. Let's go in here. And a team like this, I'm not going to run the entire team here, guys, but even on this A3 ability, yeah, we can fill turn meter. We can set up with the increased attack. We already have increased attack on this team. So we're basically using a 4-turn increased attack and turn meter fill. We could steal buffs, and that can be nice in a case of an emergency. A lot of buffs, maybe reflect damage stacking up on the Hydra heads. Go ahead and remove that and use it in case of emergency. Otherwise, you might just want to hammer away with that A1 ability. Land more hexes with the A1 and increase the duration of everything else. You'll already see these durations are starting to stack up quite a bit, and we've only used, you know, it 1 time or 2 times, that A1 ability. So what I'm trying to say is, he's the type of champion where if you don't need to use his A2 or his A3, keep hammering away with the A1 ability, especially in a curse set, right? Want to get in there and extend the duration of everything, as well as land those hexes and get a little bit of damage all at the same time. So again, in this situation, there's no buffs on the table. We already have increased attack. I'm going in with the A1. You saw the damage wasn't out of this world, but we've got a nice little control team going here where we're in command, right? And that's what you guys can do with a champion like this. Is he going to scale to the world record setting damage teams in Hydra Nightmare? I don't think so. I think he's more of a progression-y type champion. Not to say he can't be used by a lot of champions, but I don't think he's S tier or anything close to it when it comes to PvE. Let me know if you agree or disagree, though, guys. I would love to hear how you're using this champion, if you have him unlocked and built. I'm sure a lot of you guys, like me, waited for clan versus clan to use it, you know, to max him out and build him right now. So I imagine a lot of you guys are just starting to get your hands on him. So guys, I wanted to end off with just showing you the gear on the curse set that I have. Again, you don't have to go all out damage. You're not leaving a lot off the table here, but I went crit rate, crit damage, or crit damage with crit rate on the gauntlets, attack percentage on the chest, and speed on the boots. Keep in mind, kind of good gear here towards the end game. I think first and foremost, survivability, speed, accuracy for you guys out there. So I already showed you the masteries, guys. We talked about that. In terms of a blessing, this guy could be your, he could be a temporal change champion for you, especially in the arena. He could be polymorph in the arena for obvious reasons. In PvE, I would go with cruelty because of the AoE on the A1, help reduce that defense whoever you're attacking, especially the Hydra clan boss. You could even go with brimstone and other areas of PvP. So there it is, guys. That's Loki the Deceiver. Overall, I give this champion kind of a, I guess I give him a B. You let me know what you feel about him in the comments below, guys, if you agree or disagree. Can't wait to read through and see your first impressions on this champion. Much love, and as always, take care, guys.